What's going on?
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gonna feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing. So cold, behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gonna feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gonna feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Dead Air Live on our Dead Full Spectrum channel. It is our Sunday night show, and welcome. Thank you guys for being with us here tonight for the next 2 hours in and around the topic of the paranormal with a spectacular guest, Mr. Tim Shaw, going to be joining us tonight. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, also the thumbs up, and the reminder bell for upcoming content. Ken, ring that bell. I missed that. You haven't done that in a while. You had the bell with you? There we go. Let's get it started.
Bell. Round three.
We're going to get into some topics tonight that, three of us, how would we refer to ourselves, Ken? Seasoned investigators.
I like it.
Would get into discussion about. So,
I like
let's get moving with this, Ken, because we got a lot to cover.
We do. Hello once again, everybody. Hey, our guest tonight is the kind of guy who shows up with stories that make your house haunted. Okay, literally. Tim Shaw, he's been around the paranormal world his entire life. He grew up with deep ties to Lilydale. He's a medium, an investigator, an author, and someone who's spent decades exploring everything from haunted locations to the traditions of hoodoo and voodoo. You've probably seen him on shows like Ghost Hunters, Ghost Lab, Paranormal Lockdown, and more than that will take up our entire allotment of time tonight. What we love about Tim is that he brings both experience and heart to this field. He's curious, he's thoughtful, and he's not afraid to dig into the history or the spiritual side of things. So buckle up, everybody. Tonight we're talking hauntings, history, and maybe a little chaos, Tim Shaw style. Welcome back to Dead Air, Tim.
Hey, guys. A little chaos?
A little chaos. Never
a lot of chaos.
Anybody, Tim.
A lot of chaos. If you're going to do and you're going to get into chaos, make it big. Make it big. Make it so that people will go and remember the chaos that you have created.
On my signal, unleash hell.
Hey, listen, it's chaos, henceforth the very definition of the word. Exactly. Which is why we brought you on tonight.
I just figured you guys were hanging out and, you offered me a couple Subway coupons, so I said, I'll be there.
Come on over. We'll do a couple of Italians with everything tonight.
Sounds good to me.
That sounded awful, didn't it?
Listen. 25 years ago, I would have jumped on that one, but no, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not going there. We're old
Hey,
dogs now.
I didn't think it through. Sorry.
I got to go back now while you're talking to Ken and find I think this is almost an anniversary edition. I think it's almost been about a year
For who?
I would say, yeah,
for
yeah,
the having Tim
probably.
on.
Yeah. Well,
Come on,
I mean, the check is still in the mail, guys. So, I mean,
it takes a while.
You'll get there. You'll get
Snail
there.
mail, man.
Give it another 2 weeks. Just give it another 2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks. Another 2 weeks, guys.
It'll be
Uh, Cody and Satori have come in and said, Tim, do you owe them money?
Oh, I love Cody and Satori. Don't get no.
just a wonderful economy of words. Tim, that's it. We
That's
got
it.
nothing else.
That's good enough.
I'm
Good
reading
enough
it.
coming from them.
Ken, take it away. I'm going to go do my research on the last time we had Mr. Shaw on.
Okay, that's fine. You
See you in a
go
little
watch
bit.
that. Sage that place, will you, George?
Hell yeah.
All right, dude. Hey, listen, before we start, speaking of Cody and Satori, I wanted to make mention of the fact, Tim, that you and I, if we don't see each other, we will be seeing each other next October because you are officiating a wedding of which I'm honored to be part of the wedding party. And I was reminded of this today and I went, oh, yeah.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I cannot wait for the nuptials of Cody and Satori next year. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be great. You know what? I have to figure out how I can fit paranormal, the words demon, hectic, let's see, spiritualist,
Yeah.
Houdini. I got to figure out how I can fit all that into the ceremony. I have to figure out when I'm writing it. I have to figure out how it's going to all kind of roll together, So, I mean, basically what I'm going to just say is the two of you are married and the rest of you out there, if you didn't give a decent amount in the envelope, demons are following you home.
There will be retribution, people. Well, I was told today by somebody who it rhymes with Satori that we have to have an occult wedding because nobody would expect anything less.
In that case, I'm going to have to bring out my instead of a good suit, I'm going to have to go out and bring out my ritual robes. That's that we're going to have to do that.
I don't know what we're dressing up like yet. It hasn't been decided, but can I have one of those?
All I got to say is no, I am not wearing pointy ears. That's not happening. Sorry, guys. No pointy ears.
I was going to do that anyway. Hey, you know what? I have a paper in front of me that says things that I would like to ask Tim Shaw. And by some strange coincidence, here you are tonight.
It's magic. It's magic. It's magic with a K. That's what
I'm telling you. It's some kind of synchronistic thing going on. Okay, so let the interrogation begin. All right. Now you've said your family, and I found this interesting, had ties to the Lilydale Spiritualist Assembly. So I'm wondering, how did that environment inform you growing up about things like mediumship and the paranormal? Because that's fascinating. We've all heard of Lilydale. I don't know if I've ever met anybody deeply associated with. So you're the guy to ask this. How did that sort of have that effect or imprint on you?
I don't know. I think my parents got drunk one day and they ended up there by some odd. No.
Yeah, flat tire.
You know how it is. Yeah,
I know.
No, I mean it's funny because my spiritualism goes back in my family to the 1880s, to the golden age. So I mean, it's always been there. My father's side of the family, I mean, they were all spiritualists. They were all a lot of them were readers. My great uncle Gibb was a reader. He was a card reader, and we would actually go. I went out, mind you. I went to, even though I am Scotch Irish. What the hell else am I? I'm Scotch Irish. I'm Welsh. I'm Scandinavian and a tad Algerian. I went to a Polish parochial school, so you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird that I did that. But during the summer, we used to go there and visit my relatives.
Real Renaissance man.
I was a Renaissance man, actually. Yes,
Yes.
yes. But it was so I got a really great education going out there and just hanging around other kids, and we would go to on Sundays if we were there. I would go to Lyceum, which is which was the Sunday school, which was so cool. And I mean, first part of the day, it was just like catechism. You had to go and you had to learn about all the pioneers of spiritualism, Humes and Andrew Jackson Davis, and all these people, Emma Bridge Hardings, and I mean, all these different, people that were fundamental in the religion itself, besides the Fox sisters. And it was great. I mean, and then the second part of the Lyceum, you actually went and you did a children's seance. You learned about mediumship. You learned about healing. You learned about energy work. And to be honest with you, that's what stuck with me more than anything else. I love that. I mean, and it's funny because now I went. I'll be honest with you. I attended a talk with a former. She was the former president of the National Spirits Association of Churches. It's tough to get all this out, and she married a former Jesuit theologian from Georgetown, and it was just like kind of combining what was the similarities and what were the
Right.
differences between Catholicism and spiritualism, and outside of the divinity of Jesus Christ, a lot of it is all the same. And one of the comments he had spoken while speaking, and then when I spoke to him later on, he said, if you want to know what true spirit or what true mediumship is, read the life of the saints. And he was 100% on, because other than the words, what they were called, the semantics of it, it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. So in all honesty to the Catholic faith, if I had been taught the mysteries of the church rather than the fluff of the church, of course, I mean, we're going through Vatican II and all the changes and all that stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
And it was fluff. I'm not going to me, it was just fluff because it was boring. But if they had taught the mysteries, the true mysteries of the Catholic Church, I probably would never have left the church. I probably would have used that as the foundation of my faith. But spiritualism was just phenomenal. I mean, it was just something that was overwhelming. It was just overwhelming. And to be exposed to gallery work, going out and bringing messages as part of the services, the religious services, to be able to go out there and hands-on healing, to be able to go out there and feel energy, the pulses of energy coming out of the property, coming out of people, being able to go and at the time we weren't allowed to use any kind of tools of divinity, which the National still doesn't allow to this day. But you could use like some things during seance, but for message work, you couldn't. So it was really great to be able to be trained in that way and opened up in that way, where it was almost all mental mediumship without a crutch. And to be honest with you, the other thing is the children's seances were incredible because they were done in light. And so this way you weren't, the kids weren't freaked out.
Sure. You're right.
Because inevitably, I mean, the trumpets, they're long funnels. They look like long funnels. The spiritualist trumpets. I mean, I've seen them move. I've heard scrapings of slings inside of them. I heard whispers coming out of them. I've witnessed things come off the table. We'd be sitting around a table and they fly off. And you do that during the light. Two reasons. This way, there's that there's no fraud. But secondly, you're not afraid of it. And that's what the whole idea was, to train kids not to be afraid of physical phenomena.
Right. Sure.
And I mean, that all ended up going into being of service to both sides, the living and those on the other side, but also spirit rescue circles, which basically were paranormal investigations and working to get a spirit to move on, if a spirit was self-trapped within the atmosphere or location. So I mean, it was just an amazing time. Plus, I mean, you have to understand, I mean, I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, and I first went to Lilydale probably at 1972, so I was probably about 9 years old, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And you had the dawning of the new age. You had psychic fairs that were starting up. You had all sorts of great stuff. You had the movie of the week that was, Gargoyles or Kolchak the Night Stalker. And, you're brought up in 1972 or I think 73, you had The Exorcist,
Right.
and you had all these amazing movies that were coming out, also followed by a great, of course, the Satanic Panic, which still was an interesting time to live in. So all this kind of really settled in on me. And Lilydale was a really great base because you could always go back there. And, at the time, there were some really long-term residents. And you could always find somebody that had worked with you, or you knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who could help you understand things that were going on in your life and,
Mm-hmm.
during our unfoldment process.
When we're talking about going back 72 or 73, there's never been a movie that's had a greater negative influence on the paranormal than The Exorcist, because up until then we weren't summoning demons with Ouija boards, but this was the power of that movie. I wanted to ask you about those sessions when you say
Sure.
there was object manipulation. How much of that do you attribute to intervention from the spirit world as opposed to the collective energy of the people present, perhaps causing a shift in the physical environment and literally making things move? I mean, there are a lot of, thought forms. We talk a lot
Yeah.
about that. Can we create our own spirit, so to speak? We know about all the experiments, the Philip experiment, the skull. We know, if you don't, guys, read up on it. But we know that these kind of things are possible. So what's the balance on that to
Well,
you, Tim?
first of all, I was working at the time as a kid within the framework of a religion, all kind of coded in dogma. So they would teach you that it was spirit intervention. And at
Yep.
that time, it was like you had guides, and you had different guides that would do different things for you. You would have, guides that would like lift the table to make it turn, or you would have a guide here or a guide there. And I believed it for a while, but the more I started to actually do hands-on work, I mean, hardcore hands-on work, I mean, not religion or not religious based orientated, I started finding out and understanding how energy kind of can be manipulated through thought, through intent, and
Mm-hmm.
how group dynamics within an energy circle can really go and cause phenomena to happen. The Philip experiment is a prime example of the creation of a thought form in order to go and get responses.
With
Now,
a collective sort of energy.
exactly.
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, I'm a firm believer. Now, we did an experiment at the Mansfield Reformatory couple of years ago, and we had a friend of mine actually who was a retired CO. We actually handcuffed him, and we did the perk walk, and we put him in solitary. And his first birth was Frank's first job in corrections was at Sing Sing. So he had some of the worst of the worst, and he would get these people coming in there, and they'd put him in there, and people, in solitary, to be screaming 24/7 until their meds, when their meds wore off and everything. And so he was doing that. And the phenomena that was happening was amazing because drop 17 degrees, and we're getting a cold breeze coming out of the cell. And, we're getting all this phenomena. We're getting meters and all that. We're getting a scanner box that said, kill him. And then two women who had, heard him screaming outside came in and dispersed the existing energy, and everything flatlined. So what does that tell you? That tells you either it's all energy that is being produced in order to get this type of phenomena, or it is, spirit trying to manipulate this energy in order to get a response through. And I'm a firm believer in like attracts like. Look at us. I mean, we we we're friends. We kind of stumble into each other once in a while, and
Sure.
that's like attracts like. And I'm a firm believer that when energy peaks at the right moment and you have the right amount of people that really have the same mindset, because seance is key to everybody having that same mindset, boom, you get some kind of phenomena. And so I believe it's more manipulation of energy. And I would say it's 90% manipulation of energy and 10% spirit intervention.
Mm.
But how many times, Ken, do you go and you start looking at different things and you get called out on cases and you can't find anything? You can't find anything that's residual. Historically, you can't find anything. Spiritually, you get sensitive walking through there, you get nothing. What is it? Could it be kinetic energy? Could it be mindless energy that's built up in a
Mhm.
location? Absolutely. So there you go. I mean, we believe that you have to be the right person at the right place at the right time in order to go to invoke some kind of uh, spiritual or some kind of reaction. Excuse me. So, I mean, think about it. I mean, just think about it. What happens if there's not? It's energy. It's all energy.
Right.
And when it comes to guided meditations and again, group dynamics, I'm a firm believer that you can manipulate energy. And I had a guy years and years ago tell me that, listen, let's talk about energy for a couple minutes, Tim. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, is energy negative or positive? I looked at him. I said, well, I always thought negative energy was neutral. He goes, bingo. Because if energy is neutral, it can be influenced by something positive or by something negative.
Right.
And that energy then, if it's that influence is strong enough, that energy then creates whatever, whatever that the influence is. And I firmly believe that because thoughts are things are vibrational in nature. Think about that. If things are vibrational in nature, then thoughts are all things, everything's a frequency. So now what are we doing? We're influencing energy with frequency. If we can do that, and there is an existence after this, which I believe is energetic souls, energetic personalities, I feel if there's some kind of an intelligence that these entities can influence the energy in order
Mhm.
to create a response.
Well, we're talking about potential energy rather than kinetic, where something is always in motion, will stay in motion.
Right.
We're talking about potential energy that nonetheless exists that has to be, lack of a better word, agitated.
Agitated, correct. Now kinetic energy, let's it's mindless. It's sitting there. What happens if you have something that walks in and just sparks it off? One of the big things Johnny Zaffis always taught me is if you can find the source of a battery, something that's providing the energy, providing the power into whatever's going on, if you can somehow find that and short circuit it, all of a sudden the case, and anything if it's negative or whatever, will flatline. And that's something that I've always searched for that. I've always looked for that in every case. Hinsdale, the Hinsdale House in the Southern Tier of New York State.
Right.
We couldn't figure it out. I was one of the early teams. I was one of the early people that actually walked in there with
Yes, you
my
were.
old team, and they were going to bulldoze it. So we were going to go and we photographed it and videoed it because we wanted to save it for posterity. And luckily, my friend Dan Kless had bought it now and has preserved it very well. But we couldn't figure out what it was.
Mhm.
Now we find out that there are graves on the property. So what happens? Could this be the reason? There's a lot of theories out there to talk about disturbed graves or graves that are forgotten. There's a lot of those theories out there. So could that have added in to the haunting? Plus, add in the vibrational fields of the people who are living there at the time. Could all of that be the perfect storm? Absolutely. I feel absolutely.
Well, I mean, and the cemeteries, as far as the house, do not necessarily mean that they're intertwined with
Correct.
each other. You've got two separate things going on. And I think sometimes we interpret this as, it's all interlocked, and that's not necessarily so.
But also now, dowsers went out there and they found that there's two negative ley lines that cross directly underneath the center of the house.
Makes sense. Why not?
So now, could that be powering
Mhm.
it? I'm a big ley line guy, man. I dowse. I love dowsing, and so to me, that is something that adds into it. It's an entire ball of wax that we have to put together and try to go and make sense of it. And then and I think some paranormal investigators do not do their homework enough. You go to a location, and as a psychic, that's a whole different story. Okay, that's a whole. You got to do a walkthrough. You don't want to know anything about the location. But if you are a paranormal investigator, then you have to go out there and you have to really take the time to learn the history, understand what happened on this property, go back 5,000 years and
Right.
figure it out. Because too many people just go there and they're thrill seeking. Oh, look, my K2 is blinking. I got an FU on my audio recorder, but they're not getting to the meat
Right.
of the actual investigation.
Well, there's a full, no pun intended, spectrum to this thing. I can remember, because we don't think about things like geology,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't think about these things. So, little story. About 2 years ago, before everything went sideways, we were at the farmhouse in
Mm-hmm.
Harrisville, conjuring house, if you
Right.
will, and we were metal detecting. And every time we got a hit, we'd put a flag down. And this ended up in a perfect, pretty large rectangle. And then going back in plat maps and records, we found out there used to be a barn that exists there, and all the metal and everything that had
Mm-hmm.
deteriorated, naturally was covered over. So there's nothing paranormal about it, but it fleshed out the idea of investigation, where you're looking into these things. And then we were able to make some contact and get a little bit more determination on
Exactly.
this particular structure. But we found out this thing exists, so nobody haunted anybody. But I think sometimes we get a little myopic with this stuff. Let's go get the ghosts. And there's a whole plethora of things, like you talked about ley lines. We know about
Mm-hmm.
the ancients building structures, churches, obelisks. Is it coincidence that a lot of these things are located on ley lines? It's quite a coincidence.
It is. And the other thing is, now I volunteer at Concordia Cemetery. It's an 1800 cemetery in Buffalo, New York. And what I do is I recover tombstones that have been lost. That's one of myself and a group of volunteers, we go out there and we hit it all up with ground penetrating radar, and then we
Hmm.
go and we dig these tombstones up and we recover them. The idea is to walk a into a situation, make sure your bet is hedged, man. Make sure that you understand what's going on. I don't want to go out to a cemetery or a location and just dig around. I mean, that's pointless. That's pointless.
You have a
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah. Get out there and understand what's going on. That ground penetrating radar shows me something is below the surface. Okay. It may be a big rock. Who cares? The idea is now we know something. So the idea is thoughts, you got the education to learn what's going on. And the other thing that drives me insane is a lot of the urban legends that are wrapped around all these locations. Too many people read into them and believe everything that's out there without doing the due diligence that's needed in order to understand the truth of the matter. We have a place up here called Pigman Road, right? And it's a whole thing where this guy, would go and slaughter pigs and put the heads on stakes and all this stuff, right? I mean, and there is a little truth to it, but when you start going and you do your homework, all of a sudden now you're working with this legend. But the truth of the matter is, it was because there was a railroad accident down the line, not that far away in Angola. It's called the Angola Horror, and these these cars derailed and went down an embankment off of a bridge,
Mm.
and all these people burned to death. And the sight was so horrible that that they couldn't even identify so many of them, and they were buried in a mass grave. There's a lot to it, and that is what morphed into the
Right.
horror of Pigman Road. But if you go and ask all these the YouTube people that go out there, and they've all got 1,001 different uh, you know uh, investigations out there. I talk to. Well, I talk to the historian. I've talked to different people,
Right.
and I get a whole different story. So a lot of people don't do the due diligence. They need to go and do it.
And I think what has to be emphasized, I can't emphasize this enough. I don't think we're taking issue with anybody who goes out there with their equipment and their recorders and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You enjoy yourself doing it. But I think that you're going to have a more well rounded experience and actually some fun, if we're being honest. And there's no crime in that, with
Exactly.
exploring these different type of things attached to a property or a story, and you're going to be richer for the experience. What I wanted to ask you is, you're certified in Advanced Reiki Training
Yeah.
and Spiritualist Healing. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you integrate these healing modalities into your paranormal research?
Everything comes from a universal source. I'm not one of these people that believes in a lot of spirit guides. I'm not one of these people that you know I that everything is external. I believe it comes from a universal source. It comes through, and whatever. Like if I do a psychic walkthrough, it's the same thing as mediumship. It's the same thing as healing. So for
Mm,
me, it's all exactly the same. Now, when I go on a paranormal investigation, I'm going to be honest with you. I ask a team because I don't work with it. I work with friends, but I'm not part of a team.
right.
Uh, I'll go and I'll ask them, "What do you want me to do? Do you want me to do a walkthrough?" And if they say, "Yeah," that's great because I do a walkthrough. I record it. I give them the SD card, and I go home. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think twice about it. It doesn't bother me. If they want me to help with the investigation as a meter guy or go out there and work with meters or recorders, that's cool too. I'll do that. Uh, Very seldom do I let the two intertwine. And the reason being for that is I don't want to go and influence anybody else's investigation. Now, when I go out by myself, I'm going to, let's say, uh, I'll go to a location where there's a specific reason why I'm there. Okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to just kind of project, let that universal energy just kind of go and tell me kind of where to go. And at that point, then I'll set up my meters and work with it.
yeah. Have there been instances, and I don't want to get into specifics, but I think we've all encountered this at one point, but we work with different people, different approaches, different methodologies, maybe
Mhm.
different goals. Have
Yes.
there been times where, in those kind of situations, you've had to graciously say, "Yeah, This is not for me.
I'm out of here. You're talking about I'm out of here.
I'm
I
out of
can
here."
listen. I can tell you a TV pilot that I pulled on, which drove me insane. It was at Fort Mifflin, and uh, I had said to them early on in the project, if I catch you guys going and faking anything, I'm the hell out of here. I'm done. I'm done. Sure enough, they faked. They faked this whole segment of it, and they didn't have the balls to come up and tell me until almost the very last weekend. And then they wanted me to say something to lie. They wanted me to say, "Yes, I found the ghost of. Yes, this ghost is here." And I was, "No, I'm not doing that." You know, this one
Mhm.
guy could go and, if I get, if it gets out that I fake something, especially like saying that we found something, I'm done. I'm done. I'll never serve a spiritualist church again. I'll never, get any
And,
kind of, my reputation will be in tatters. It's my reputation's in tatters anyway.
well,
But
I mean, the thing is, nobody wants to be judged on their worst day.
exactly. But
But,
I'm not going to
but
go and I'm not going to allow myself to be part of a fraud. And I'll tell you what happened. This is when I knew that TV was bullshit because and I've done great great shows, but this particular pilot, they turned around and they faked all this and they wanted me to say yes, we found it, and I refused. So what they do is there's a thing called continuation of scene. So we're all wearing the exact same clothes for like 4 or 5 weeks,
Mhm, mhm.
the same style, whatever. And the problem is that they can take anything that you said previously and put it in there. So what they taped me saying, mission accomplished 3 weeks before that, that's what they had me say at the end of it. And at that point, I said, "This is ridiculous."
Well,
And
I think that's why a lot
you
of
walk.
people now, maybe by necessity, because networks aren't doing a lot of this anymore, but everybody is doing their own thing on streaming. And it's not to say
Mhm.
some things aren't wild there, but people
That's
are
the
doing
Wild
things
West, man. That's the
right.
Wild West now.
It really is. But those who are honest about things get to control their own narrative. They have more creative control. And when I say creative, I don't mean making things up. I'm just saying putting things in order
Right.
that they think are
Exactly.
important
Exactly.
or not. So I got to actually take a break here. I'm going to bring George in here to finish off and bring us to the top of the hour. Tim, the interrogation is not over yet. I'll be back with more of this, so you have been warned. Thank you so much, sir. Kind of enjoyed it. I'm going for the relief pitcher now.
All right, let's get right down to it. Actually, what I'd like to do, Tim, is I want to go back. I want to go back to the beginning of this because although Ken and I are very familiar with you, some of the audience, and again, we're pulling in from many different news sources now, thanks to the other connections we've made through social media. But give everybody an idea of what put Tim Shaw into this field. How did it
Yeah,
start?
family and being influenced by as a kid. Just being totally influenced as a kid.
Social media wise or
No
experiences?
experiences. Social media didn't come until till like generations later, dude. I am like in between. What is it? Uh, the what is it now? They used to call it boomers. Now we're the was it Generation Jones or whatever in
I have no
between.
idea.
I don't
X,
know, but I
whatever.
mean, listen. You know what? I was greatly influenced by what I saw and what I personally experienced, and everything else was just fluff, and it just kind of reinforced all the movies and all the stuff. And do you guys remember I'm sure, George, you probably do remember the magazine Man, Myth, and Magic
Yep,
that came out, and all that stuff. That was like amazing to me. Being
they
able,
were magical.
yeah, so I mean, there was so much wonderment out there that it just kept reinforcing it and reinforcing it and reinforcing it. So that's why I started. Plus, on top of it, it fed into the religion, the spiritualist religion itself. Whereas, you know, in other religions, it was sort of like flatlined and finite. You fit within a box. But within the spiritualist religion, you had dogma, and you did have a little bit of control there. But it enabled you to go, and you were a free thinker where you were allowed to say, hey, let's talk about this, and like the spiritualist religion, modern spiritualist religion, is not big on, like, well, I should say not the modern spiritualism, but the National Spiritual Association of Churches is not big on reincarnation.
Right.
However, they will not go and tell you not to talk about it, and they won't tell you not to believe in it.
Yeah.
It's just that they themselves have not had enough proof, where they think that it happens. But like with me, I have to believe in it. So a lot of it is just because of the fact that I was a thinker. I went out there and I read everything I could get my hands on, and it just stuck and it made sense to me. I think that's the biggest thing, was it actually made sense. Whereas where I wasn't, within the other religion, I was being talked to. I was being told what to do. And rather than being told what to do, I was suggested, listen, this is what maybe would help you be a better human being, to be of service, to, and get out there. It was a whole different mindset.
It brings me back to my childhood, where for me, talking about the magazines, what got me really interested in this field. Now, I grew up in a house that had a ghost, and we named it Henry, and we were dismissive of it. Things would happen. Oh, that's just Henry, and it wasn't like I got to get into a field. I got to figure this out. I got to get into a field and do this. But I was a huge fan. I can't wait to see the grin on your face when you remember this. Fangoria magazine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And it
Oh yeah.
explained how
Wasn't it
Hollywood.
Rodrigo? Wasn't that published by Rodrigo? I can't remember. It's been a while since, but I always remember the cover with Vampirella on it.
Yep. And there were, I mean, what they did is they broke down how they did the special effects in the
Hmm.
horror movies and the gore movies, and it was amazing to me, but it unlocked my mind in how to figure things out.
Agreed.
And so going an investigation, you want to figure things out. Nowadays they call it debunking, but you want to try to get the answers to why things are
You can't
happening the way
believe
they do.
everything. George. You've been around the block like I have. Too many people. There's two. I think the biggest problem is that, uh, when we have, uh, situations of social unrest, political unrest, we start to see increases in metaphysical and spiritual, explorations. And I've seen this back in the 60s. I saw this back, during the, Satanic Panic in the 80s and early 90s. And we're starting to see it again. And here's the thing. The problem is that you have too many people, and I see this at a lot of the talks that I do. You have too many people that believe everything. They want to believe so badly that, you could go, and I mean, I could stand there with this pen and go, look, it's floating. And people would say, oh my God, it's floating,
Yeah.
because of the fact that they want to believe it's so. Instead of wanting to believe, uh, I'm a firm believer in saying, listen, why don't we just kind of look at things that we can't say that they're true or false, but let's look at something that we can kind of like say, yeah, there's no other influences here. There's nothing that we can see at this moment. And don't take that off. Don't take that out of a file. Leave that there, and then maybe sometime in the future we can find a reasonable cause for it. So, I'm not a debunker, but I'm a person that really believes in that we should be looking for the truth. I mean, not all orbs are ghosts, nor are all orbs just dust. You have to be able to go and be fluid enough to accept something that you can't explain.
Well, I think we were on early on in this field when this field not necessarily was discovered, but society discovered it through the television shows and even the ones that were on before the reality TV shows. There were other ones that researched this. We were looking for tangibility. We were looking for things that we could put our finger on and say, okay, this is something that we cannot explain. It must fit into that category of paranormal. Now, today, most of the teams out there are just looking for the addition of experience while they're out there. That's
The
why
thrill
all
ride. What you're
yeah,
saying, George, is they're looking for the thrill
the
ride.
contraptions that they bring on board that light up,
Exactly.
make noise,
Exactly.
and while it could fundamentally establish a connection or communication to it, there's just too many variables.
Oh yeah, there's a repeatability variable, and if you start looking even further back in history, you have the psychical societies that
Sure.
were formed. People like Henry James out there,
England,
and
US. Yep.
yeah, I mean, you and all these different people that were out there investigating phenomena, and there's a lot of frauds and stuff, and you have to debunk that. And a lot of people like hated hated skeptics. I don't hate skeptics. They're out there to work on. They're looking for a reason. They're looking for why, and you have to do that because you can't go and accept everything. Now, if you accept everything in a believable form, well, that's fine because it fills your heart. It fills you. It completes you. It keeps you warm at night. But the biggest problem is that people will have a tendency to go and use that as a scam for whatever they want, whether it's power, whether it's money, whether it's control. People will use that. We do know that. Look at the cults. Look at the cults that have formed over the years, including the present day ones. So you have to be able to go and you have to have enough common sense to say, I can't explain this. This is what happened, but I'll accept that this might be organic in nature instead of spiritual in nature.
It puts us in a position a lot of the times, and unfortunately, the way that the labeling is with skeptics, that's what our job should also include. It's what we're supposed to be doing. But a lot of the times, it doesn't reinforce the enjoyment of that person doing what they're doing with all these different devices. Because we, yourself, me, Ken, many of us who've been in this field for a long time, we've had unexplainable experiences
Exactly.
firsthand, not by a beep or a buzz or a light, firsthand. So
Exactly.
that when we're in the presence of others who are now using they're using their cell phone app to make this communication. Oh, it's showing me there's a ghost on the radar, and it's like, look, there's ways to validate it, but you just can't take that at face value, and that
Exactly.
and that villainizes us right away.
Well, that's a problem. And you know what, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, George. You know that firsthand. And
I'm in the same boat, yes, sir.
but you have to be able to go and you have to accept it. And I don't know. I remember going to a spiritualist church, right? And they took all these photographs inside the church. And the church was built in 1911 and it was built by spiritualists for spiritualists. And here's the problem. Orbs all over the place. Orbs all over the place. So when the photos came back, and this is going back in the film days, they laid them on the table, and all the old grand dames would go and point and go, "Oh my God, this is Reverend so and so. This is his wife. This is," and they were matrixing. I mean, they were looking at it, and they wanted to believe that this was proof of it. I mean, I know even like the late Raven Gervasi, he was a great occultist, but he sent me photos, and it was. I looked at it and I could tell that it was pollen because it was an outside shot, and you could tell what they were. It was pollen.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade. That's the big thing. I really don't. And you have to be kind as you possibly can. And you try to go and just say, listen, this is what they could be. It could be A, spirit, could be B, this, could be C, this. You never go and give them an absolute, especially if you
Right.
know that there's no way that it's like, come on, George, let's talk about EVPs for a while. EVPs, you can go and you can have accidental antennas. You can have uh, degrading, what do they call it? Like the foil, is degrading in there. I forget what there's a proper name of it. You can have different frequencies overloading it. There's so many different variables that can happen. Now, if you go and you ask a question and in real time it comes back with a pertinent answer, you still can't say it is, but you can say, I don't understand why it happened, but this makes sense. But so many times somebody will ask, is there anybody here? And you hear, and it makes no sense. Or you
No.
get a word back like, lemon.
Yeah.
It has to have some kind of cohesiveness, and I think that's a big problem with so many people. They want to believe so much that they'll jump at anything. And again, you hit a good spot, or a good point about all the fancy equipment. I love gear. I am a gearhead. I absolutely love the meters. I have probably what 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 scanners, including the antiquer behind me that I stripped out, and that's actually a spirit box behind me that I turn on when I'm working down here, by myself. And I love it. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. Exactly. I mean, I love it. But what people don't realize is that you can use almost anything to get something.
Yeah.
And the old spiritualists used to tell you to take your seance gear and put it underneath your bed and sleep with it, so that your essence, your energy intertwines with that energy of the inanimate object. I'm a firm believer in that. So everything could work. I mean, I'm not a big flashlight guy. I'm gonna be honest, because I'm big into thermodynamics, and if you're in a cold building, and you got to understand how some of this works. But I'm going to tell you what, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater just because I don't personally really believe in. I believe in the more scientific part of it. But when you're over there going saying, "Hey, turn on." Bing, it's on. Okay, that's enough. Turn it off. Bang, it goes off. You got to sit there and think to yourself, okay, and it does it, in like a series. It might be something. You have to
That's
be able
it.
to go and be open enough to say yes. You have to be, open enough to say, well, it could be. So you can't go and you can't be a total skeptic and just rip everything apart, but you can't be a total believer either. And again, there's nothing more thrilling than having, one of something with my little lights are flashing on and going, oh, look at that, that's amazing. And then you have to think to yourself, where is there a cell tower? Does everybody have their phone off? You have to start ripping apart. You have to here. I got a good example for you, George. We're up at the Hinsdale house, right? At the time, there was no power going to it, none whatsoever. It was slated to be demolished. We had 10 people out there, so we're outside the building. All of a sudden, everybody's K2 meters pin 10 people, 10 meters pin. Everybody's like, this is the strongest ghost essence we've ever. But people don't understand how
Sensitive.
I mean, all these, like, let's put it this way. I mean, you have cell towers that can jump hundreds of miles,
Yeah.
and if you have the right atmospheric conditions, this can cause it. So I mean, you have to be able to go and say, okay, this was great, this was an amazing experience, but maybe this is the reason why. Now, we've never been able to go and repeat that, but if everything was right, it happened.
Yeah. I mean, is it geological? Is it atmospheric? I mean, there's a lot of. This is why I have preached for almost 2 decades now about compounding evidence and how important that is.
Mm-hmm.
And we, back in the day, because we weren't privy to all these different other devices, you take a picture and you get an orb. Okay, great. Could be dust, could be energy, could be anything.
Exactly.
Now
Exactly.
talk to the empty room and aim it in that direction with your camera again and say, if you're intelligent, I want you as an orb to now go in the opposite direction. I want you to stop right in front. I want you to come towards the camera. Now, if you're getting that denotes intelligence. Now start with your digital audio recorder or
Exactly.
anything else, but build on it. Don't just take one thing at face value and make that conclusion, because that's an absurd notion.
I think too many people back in the day didn't understand how to build a trap,
No.
how to do the mouse trap. You know, uh, set your K2s up, allow different devices within an area. If you're using, now, I used to love using dynamic mics, piped in through a mixer, going into my laptop, going and being recorded. You would go and you would take these mics and you would put them in these directions. Let's say you're going to get, right and left, you're going to, all these corners. And it was amazing to get these results. But also at the same time, what else are you getting? You're getting K2 hits, you're getting movement, you're getting shadow play. Add it all in you gestalt it. You add it all into a big ball of wax, and you present it as this. These are the results of this experiment, rather than just going and saying, well, I recorded, I took a photo. Well, did you do it all at the same time? I mean, I'm a big believer in having video going. I go out there and I buy body cams. I set body cams up. I have a recording going. I have one audio recorder in a Faraday pouch, and a recorder outside of the Faraday pouch, all going on at the same time, along with everything else.
Yeah.
So if you're going to get something within the Faraday pouch, you're going to get something that may correspond on video. You got to go and you got to have more than just one device, or using one device at a time.
Collection saturation. And
Exactly.
you don't do
I
enough
mean,
of that.
again, when we were at Mansfield, we had temperature gauges, going constantly. We had not only just the scanners, we had everything else. We had so much going on, and yet we had phenomena happening. We were able to capture it. This is what's important, to be able to capture it. And again, everything, you get somebody out there that they could disprove it. They can disprove it. They'll try to disprove it. But if they can't disprove it, well, then you still can't believe it. But it will reinforce your belief in whatever philosophy you have. And that's what's important.
As we go to break here, and I have Ken come join us back up on screen, the perfect example of why all these variables and all these various types of devices are important. Just look at the situations with Cody and Satori and what they do. And,
Amazing. I'm
and
going to tell you what. I'm going to tell you guys what. I'd always heard what they did. And to me, I witnessed it this year up at Mansfield. And we were getting a tapping, and I thought it was like a droplet or something hitting something. They did what they did. They held hands. They did. All of a sudden, it was like a bang, and they'd go A, B. They were doing the alphabet rapping, and they got a name out of it. I sat there and I was like amazed, because you know what? That is exactly what the old spiritualists did. I read all these accounts and I got a chance to see it firsthand. So to me, they are like amazing, because there was no manipulation, unless you got some guy up on the roof with an eyedropper dropping these, this like Morse code, like
timing
drop
it
stuff.
perfect with the alphabet,
Exactly.
letters.
It was amazing. It was amazing to see.
Yeah, there's no way we can get Ken up on the rafters. He's tried. So,
No, that's why. Hey, listen, before we go to break, though, one thing I don't want to leave this behind. You're talking about corroboration, and you talked about K2 meters, and the first thing that comes to my mind, if you don't have one, get yourself a tri-field natural meter. If you do have one, use it.
Yes.
Set it to microwave.
Yes.
And if your needle starts doing this at the same time, your K2's lighting up, you're getting air-to-ground communications or cell tower communication. So I just wanted to maybe cool tip for everybody out there.
I'm going to be honest with you. I have a Geiger counter. I have a small personal Geiger counter. I have a device that measures barometric pressure. I have a device that measures any kind of wind that's going on, along with a static meter. But my static meter is a hiker. It's a lightning detector. I use all of these. I set them up. If we're going to do a hardcore investigation, I set these things up to look and see if we are establishing a pattern. Same thing with the old discontinued EDIs. I mean, I love that stuff. And I learned this from a group in Virginia that goes out and tries to find patterns. And they have found patterns that are associated when you have a paranormal experience. So, I mean, you got to go, and you got, as much as I am a medium and I love it and I believe that in spirit and I believe all this stuff. Oh my God, these meters are sometimes actually going and collaborating with what's going on.
Number one, Tim, get us the information of that team. We'd love to have them on. Number two,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yep.
You know what? I've worked with them twice. One of the guys named Brad Bradley. I love him to death, and he is amazing because whenever I have a tech question that I need answered, this is the guy that will have suggestions, and he has people on this team that are physicists, and these are professional people who are speak way above my pay grade. And these are the guys that really, they're just amazing. They work at a lot of Civil War sites in Virginia.
Going to follow up with what we're talking about just on the other side. We got to go to break, guys. We'll be back with Tim Shaw. You're watching Dead or Alive on the Dead or Full Spectrum channel. Hang in with us. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back after the commercial break.
I was built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on the gas, never stop competing. If you break my glass, then this life's gonna end.
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas.
I can tell we need to talk about things, so I'll let you start. Yes, I'm listening. Oh, I understand that. You need help with what you say? Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy, because the last time that we talked about this, I felt like I was really clear. I gave you everything that you needed to hear, but you're still asking me for more. No, I'm just trying to understand what you're asking for, because the only thing that I can't really describe right now is how angry I am about you not listening to what I said before. You're just not listening. You're projecting and you're not listening. You're not listening. No, you're not listening. All right, what do you have to say? I'm listening. You make me feel like I'm losing my mind. I said it, and you're still not understanding. I've given you everything that you've been looking for. What else could I do? What else can I give you? What else can I say? What else do you need from me? I am. I'm going crazy. Yeah, I'm repetitive. I'm saying it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Why should I repeat myself? 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 Why should I repeat myself?
Special shout out to Paranormal Tees, who's really been a big help this week. And this is one of the reasons why we wanted to add her to our show break just to do some promotion on that. And I thank you, Tish. And she's the one also that helped us put together something very, very important. Well, two things. Linktree, number one, which we'll put it on the YouTube channel here this week, and also Discord. And I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the chat so you guys could get a chance to copy paste whatever it is you got to do to join on our Discord as a member. So greatly appreciated for everything that Tija's worked with us in regards to this week. So
Like trying to teach grandma how to send an email. You know what
it's
I'm
tough,
saying?
man. It was tough. Very versatile and very knowledgeable, and for us two old guys, very very painstaking for that poor girl. So thank you so much again. Yeah, and as far as the song was concerned, she loved it because she said it basically explains the entire field. That look, I'm explaining it black and white right for you there in front of you. I'm putting it down on paper, and you're still not listening to what it is that we're saying. And that's the community in general. Um, Before we move forward here, I did want to address why I brought up Cody and Satori as another device in our field, and that's with regards to when they're doing this, and I've been able to experience it secondhand, being on the screen while they're doing it at an investigation. I, seen them do it in person at the St. Augustine Old Jail, but not the same. But noticing that the many a times, Tim, they're doing this session and there's one person focal point who has the ability to do the knocking to communicate with them, and they'll relay messages for others who don't. No different than laying out all that equipment, and the spirit may be able to manipulate this one, but not that one. But this spirit might be able to manipulate that one, but not this one. So you're basically increasing the odds of that dialogue by adding all the different technology together.
And you know what? You have different schools of thought. You have people like us who want to go and use everything, and you have people out there, and there's nothing wrong with it, that only want to do a pure psychic mediumship investigation or a pure mechanical or pseudoscience, I should say, but
Yeah.
it's a meter investigation. So you got these different schools of thought. Which one is correct? None of them are correct. Which one is wrong? None of them are wrong. It's what you are doing, and that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
Whatever gives you uh, results.
Yeah. Most of the things, and you talked about cell phones. I prefer dedicated circuits that
Mm-hmm.
are meant to do one thing. The other part about equipment and the use of that is, at least back in the day, and there seems to be more designs geared toward what we do. But for the most part, things people use are not designed to detect ghosts. Okay,
No,
when it lights
no,
up.
no. And also, we got to remember something. Now, a lot of people are using the DR60s. I personally like the Sony ST25s, the Sony ST10s. I like those. But got to remember, the shielding in these pieces may be degrading.
Yeah.
So you're going to get interference. You're going to get other frequencies. You're going to get
Yeah.
all sorts of other things that may be impacting it. So you have to understand how to work with it,
Mhm.
how to use, again, that's why I love using like recorders and using Faraday pouches. Who uses Faraday pouches anymore? Ken, do you remember the days we used to drive around looking for old small
Old, old,
microwaves,
old
strip the
copper
mic?
mesh, and
Yeah, I mean, we would anything that we could use to shield it so
yeah,
that nothing would do it. You know what? You don't get that anymore. People aren't looking for that anymore. Why? Because they are getting responses that may not be real responses. They
but
may
it's
not be true
instant,
responses. So you have to go and you have to just kind of understand it.
instant gratification
Foolish.
can be a detriment because
But that society in general, that we are pablum fed by commercial TV for how many years? We're being pablum fed by streaming services. We're being pablum fed by all sorts of organizations across
Mhm.
the board. And what's happening is we're no longer having that patience, and we're no longer being able to go and have critical thinking about religious or beliefs.
The thing that, before we move on, just to kind of finish that thought, that what a lot of people don't consider is when you're measuring barometric pressure and you're measuring EMFs and you're taking environmental readings, one of the things to consider is how they affect us
Yes,
and our perception, our atmosphere and environment, and what that might do physiologically to us in terms of our own perception, because we're not infallible creatures. So
exactly.
it's not necessarily that, like drops in barometric pressure, heat, cold, they all affect us. Moon tides affect us.
Hmm.
So all the environmental stuff, it's great, but it's the most under investigated aspect of what we do, and that's us, the human condition.
And to be honest with you, when you start going and you start putting all this together, you can feel the differences in your own physiology.
Sure.
You can feel it. That is not being a psychic. That is being a human being,
Hmm.
you know? And you can, how many times have you been in a location where the barometric pressure drops?
I keep
You can
track of
feel
it.
you can feel it. You can feel that. Static electricity, you get the peaks in static electricity. You can feel it. This is nothing psychic. This is physiology. This is just
Mm.
being a human being.
If
But
if you get a high humidity in a
oh
room,
yeah.
the chance of dust moving is
Oh
less
yeah.
than if you had low humidity and it's dry in there. I mean, to me, and I mean, this is the fun part of what we do. This is the fun part. I mean, it's great when things are being dragged upstairs. Don't get me wrong, but in there's always a vacuum or a void where
Hmm.
nothing's happening. So what
I
am I going
agree.
to get out of this other than sitting in a chair for an hour? It's like when people say, I want to see real investigations on YouTube. No, no, you don't.
You know, Ken, we have a it's
No,
so
you
funny.
don't.
We went and we had a discussion, my friends and I, whether or not we were going to go and go live, in an investigation
Yeah.
and do the whole investigation live. We really sat there and really debated it. So we said, you know what? Let's go. Let's talk to people. Let's talk to them about watching lives. It's like watching paint dry. I don't know. I think there was like, I forget how many people we asked, but everybody didn't like it. They
Yeah.
said, well, I mean, first of all, one comment was, I think that you're more prone to fake something because nothing is going on. And I was kind of appalled at that. And I thought, it could happen.
Right.
Or, like all of a sudden you're like, hear like something creak and you're like, oh, and you jump. And it's like you get this reaction, but it's just a reaction to something that's natural in the environment.
Right.
So it's just it's so long, and people don't realize that when I had I did a class, or I did a talk for for the University Express here in Western New York, and it was 120 some people, and you should have seen the looks on their faces when I said, well, the average investigation that you see on TV could be anywhere between 12, 15 hours to 4 days. They were like,
Oh,
what?
you gave them there is no Easter Bunny talk.
There, yeah. I think they all hate me because I know that, because they
Right.
found out that Santa Claus is really the janitor
Right. The
down the street.
flaming head doesn't come out of the wall like it does 15 minutes before commercial.
Exactly. Exactly.
When
So
we do, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
No, when we do these live things every once in a while, and they're always dependent on the location and who wants something put out there and who doesn't. And that's very important to us. There are things that you
Hmm.
do that nobody will ever know about. But when we do them, that's why we like to have a live chat room so people can converse with us. And when we go out, when my group does these kind of things, of which Cody and Satori are part of. I mean, we don't take ourselves that seriously, and we like to have a good time and use a little humor and interact with people, because if you really want to just see us sit there and try to get
Oh my God, yeah.
responses for an hour, I mean, by all means, be my guest. But
But and
there's a
let's
difference between being engaging, Tim, and being a showman.
Well, that's exactly it. And
You
you
know,
have to be engaging. And you know what? The number one thing that people don't realize is when you start going, and as a medium myself, it's easier for me to read, it's easier for me to work when the energy is higher. So, I mean, I am a showman in that aspect to raise the energy. But if you're sitting there and exactly, you're sitting there doing this, it's like you're watching, I don't know, it's so tiring, and it's so boring. And I love where like the team will go and like rib each other, or it's my favorite, of course, is the demonic sulfur smell that emanates from always one person in the group, Ken, that we're not mentioning names, Ken,
I
but it
know. Yeah.
emanates from one person in that group, and
Yep.
it affects everybody, and everybody starts laughing. But I
Mm.
mean, that's the fun of it. That's a whole different thing. Or if you're going like you're using it as like an urban exploration, where you're actually taking the viewer on an explore, you're exploring this location. That's something different. But to sit there and just go and I think a lot of problem is I think we started talking about egos when we're doing that, and self-aggrandizement,
Yeah.
and rather than doing it as a team, rather than thinking about the people who are watching, rather than going and doing it. And let's face it, I'll be honest with you, to sit down and do a serious investigation, if we have something that is serious, we have something that may be negative, we have something that we're there to really help that family, rather than just to be in an investigation, there's no lives. There should be no lives going on at that
Oh
time,
no.
because you need to focus in
No,
on
no, no.
what's important, and that's the people who have to go through this.
Right.
Whereas I'm not going to mention names, but I have seen the people going out there and supposedly helping people,
Well, that's why,
it's like, no, they're not really there to help people. They're there to pump themselves up. Look what I did. Look. And the problem is they go driving away, and these poor people have to face
Mhm.
still, sometimes, they will go and have to face the wrath of whatever is in this
Right.
house,
Well,
because you jacked it up.
the Venn diagram basically is simple. When it becomes about you,
Exactly.
you need to reconsider, because we've heard, "Oh, I'm here to help people. I'm here to help people." It's like, that sounds great. That's nice. But when it becomes about you, you need to reevaluate a little
Exactly.
bit. I mean,
Exactly. And that's it.
you really do.
But
And
there's
this
but
is
there's too
why
many
we
people
fall
out
in
there that
love
don't.
with lights going off, because those lights go off, it breaks the monotony. Or, as Monty Python said, machines that go ping.
Hmm.
You know, one of the
Exactly.
things drives me crazy, and anybody in my group can tell you, because, every once in a while, you're sitting there and you hear a noise, or you think you see movement. And I get it. That's what you're hoping to get. But when 10 people go absolutely crazy and start yelling, "Did you hear that? It was over there. No, I thought it was over there. Did you hear that? I heard that." And meanwhile, I'm sitting there as graciously as I can saying, "Well, if you'd all shut up, maybe we could all hear it."
Well, I mean, that's the difference a lot of times between the public hunts and the private and the more really stricter hunts. Uh, I have no problem with either one. I don't do a lot of public hunts,
Mm.
only because of that factor. I don't that wow factor is always something that really you got to kind of watch, because while everybody is like focused here, sometimes everybody misses over on the other side.
Right.
I was on a destroyer. We were doing an investigation, and everybody was looking down at their gear, right? And everybody's head is down. And I'm looking up and I see this
Yeah.
this over
Hello,
pixelated
Mahoney.
thing, and it's like in this hatchway, and it moves and it goes backwards. I was like, oh my god! Nobody caught it.
Yeah.
The only thing that they caught was me running towards it, and jumping through a hatchway and trying to chase it down this hatchway.
That is the thing when, you say
You know,
something as simple as you can't all congregate on that wall. You have to have eyes in four different like you
right?
have to sit opposite me and these people have to sit opposite. So, and they just look at you like,
Exactly,
oh,
exactly.
I have
But
no clue with that. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to hearing a noise and seven people run up the stairs, when's the last time you saw a ghost up there go, ooh, you got me?
I've yet. I'm waiting. It
Yeah,
may
I know.
happen. I'm hoping for it one day. One day it'll happen.
I want to talk about a little bit about getting into haunted objects because you have
Sure.
some artifacts
A
yourself.
couple. I got a
Um,
couple.
yeah, what do you,
I'm
I
surrounded.
mean,
As you can tell, I'm surrounded.
yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, what's your philosophy about holding on to these items? Do you consider them tools? Do you consider them relics? Do you consider yourself in some cases a collector or a steward of these things?
I'm a steward.
Are they
I'm not
just,
a collector.
you know,
As for a common for a common nick, moniker, collector is one thing, but I'm a steward of these things.
yeah,
Somebody gives me something. These are things that to me, inanimate objects are still alive. That's my philosophy. So I really go and I carry them. I keep them with reverence, pretty much. Uh, I collect a lot of Victorian mourning paraphernalia now, and that has a lot of energy, a lot of emotions that are attached to these pieces. The hair jewelry and the hair,
yeah.
all the beautiful art and everything. That has a lot of emotion attached to it. Uh, so I feel that I'm a steward to it, and I'm going to be honest with you, Ken. I already have in my will. I actually have where this is going to someone who I believe that will take care of it. And whether he breaks the collection up or whatever, I know that this is a person that won't put it on eBay. It will go to a person who is a fellow steward who will believe
Right.
in this stuff and who will take care of it. Yeah, so I treat it all with reverence. I mean, and a lot of people laugh, but I mean, I have a little thing that I do. I just welcome it into my collection. I leave it out in the sun for about 3-4 days. Leave it outside. Just let it calm down. Let it get used. Let it get used to this atmosphere where it is. Welcome it to the collection, and I put it in a case or I put it on one of my shelves. And I mean, I don't bring these things out like a lot of people will go and bring them to like different locations unless it is a correlating piece. Behind me is all American Civil War.
Right.
This is far more. This has far more energy attached to this than all of the other stuff on the other side of this cam, in like the asylum stuff and all that. And the reason is because all of this behind me, all these photographs, these were all the equipment. These were pieces that these veterans who went through something unbelievable in their lives kept and loved, and thus the energy is there. That's why you see that I do have things in cases, and I do venerate a lot of this just to make sure. But it's the same thing with anything, with the mourning pieces, with asylum pieces. I have, uh, you know, even right down to like a Jack in a Box that was making noise, even though that the music
Cool.
apparatus was taken out.
Cool.
These are things that are these are things that are alive, and they represent something, whether or not they are attached to it, an entity is attached to it, or it just happens to be something that's energetic, such as a mineral or a coin. you know
Hmm.
it doesn't matter. you treat it with reverence. You treat it, and it's like I said, I am not a collector. I am someone who just takes care of it. That's my whole job. And when I'm gone, it's going to go to somebody else that will take care of this.
Hey, listen, there's only one haunted collector, buddy, and that's me.
My buddy Johnny. You know,
Um,
you know that old SOB. I always call him the old man because he's 3 months older than me.
Yeah,
I love
so
him.
am I. We're the same age.
Yeah, I know.
All
I
right.
love him
Well,
though. I love him. He's
we love him to death.
yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you what I think. I don't believe in possessed objects. Okay, you
Mhm.
can prove me wrong. I believe in spirit adjacent objects.
No, that's
There,
now
there,
I have to agree with you there
there is
because
something or somebody who comes in visitation
yep.
or accompanies that object that maybe animates it, but I am not a believer in, oh, somebody's inside the doll,
Oh no,
like the doll itself is
no.
doing this.
See, I agree with you 100% on that, Ken, because to me, I have a small bear, this small little bear with a small mirror compact, and it was a piece that a little girl loved. This little girl loved, and to make a long story short, she passed away from an illness, and they broke up her bedroom, of course, and they kept this little bear and this small compact because as a remembrance,
Hmm.
as memorial to this little girl. Now, what happened is that the family started seeing the spectral form of this little girl looking at this object in her former bedroom, and they did not want the rest of the children to get freaked out over it. So that's why this this little bear and the little compact actually was separated out, and it was given to a demonologist who was able to go. He kept it, and then he wanted it to go to some place that he knew that it would be exhibited or it would be put away with reverence and it would be watched over, and that's how I got it. So I believe in that. It's the same thing with like all this military stuff I have. Uh, the stuff isn't haunted. It's not haunted at all. But
Right.
the essence of that person, the intent, that person loved this piece. It was so important to them. A lot of times, some of this stuff I have that was carried in battle. Yes, there's something attached. I won't say attached to it, but there's something associated with it. And
Right.
that's what I believe a lot of all of it is. I have this problem with people that buy dolls on eBay and display them as well. We as we went and okay, there you go. As we
Right.
went and we bought this doll and we commanded the spirit to inhabit this doll. That's a tradition. I understand that. That is a tradition
Right.
that some religions and some different people believe in. I don't personally believe in that, and I believe that a spirit can attach. And you hit the nail right on the head. Visitation. Too many people don't understand the term visitation. It doesn't mean that something is landlocked or earthlocked to a
Trapped.
certain thing. No, they can go, they can come and go. Sometimes they don't understand that they can do that, which is why spirit rescue circles back in the day were so important. So, I mean, but because it was a piece that was so dear to them, yeah, they could come back and look at it and then go off. I
Right.
mean, and everybody goes, well, your collection in what you have that you have in your basement here in your office. Well, don't you ever have any problems with it? Once in a great while, I get a little shadow person that kind of like peeks around the corner, and and if you ever hear me like on my show, if you ever hear me start giggling a little bit, you know that I saw it. You know that, and that's it. Why? Because I respect it. I respect every piece I have. Every
Right.
piece was important to someone at some time in their
Yeah.
life, and that's
Absolutely. It's
why I
like
do it.
I'm
That
just going
that's
to just come in and I'm just going to go and check on my radio, if that's okay.
go ahead. Go ahead. You
Yeah,
can,
that's fine.
you can check on my radio here. We'll turn
Pretend
this
I'm
on.
not even here. just going to check on my radio. Yeah. Well, and then again, there are a lot of things, and I believe and don't believe. You take what you want, but I go to Hans Holzer, who gave the best definition of a ghost and a spirit. A ghost is what we consider residual and scares
Right.
the hell out of you,
Agreed.
walks through the
Yep.
wall. Whereas a spirit, we're talking free will.
Yeah. We're talking intelligence.
We're talking free will. It's like, I'm here, I'm not here. I came because you summoned me. What do you want? Out of all the things that that makes the most sense. Listen, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, a Roman Catholic spiritualist boy like yourself,
Mm-hmm.
what drew you to Appalachian Hoodoo and New
Folkways.
Orleans Voodoo?
I am totally fascinated by folkways. Totally.
Well,
It's
yeah, I'll
just a
give you a chance to get rid of a lot of misnomers about those two things too, because
well. Here's the thing. I have a friend, witch doctor or two, from up in Canada, that studied under Priestess Miriam at the and she's located now at the Rampart Street Voodoo Shrine in New Orleans. He's an amazing individual. Amazing. I learned so much from him. Through him, I was able to go and meet different practitioners within the Santeria communities, and it's just amazing. I've always been interested in history, and they venerate what he does is he venerates uh, Harriet Tubman, and they venerate the first freedmen that crossed the Niagara River from the U.S. into Canada and established the colony there, their township there. So that's what drew me in originally. Now hoodoo is an amazing thing that is like an off branch and a conglomeration of folkways. It's fascinating. It's unbelievable. It is like it's like Catholicism on acid, because there's so many different facets to it. I can't even wrap my brain around it. A guy by the name of Orion Foxwood, he's from down in Florida. I met him. I've read his works. I've interviewed him several times. He's an amazing person. But to be able to go and understand where this came from, you start looking at the Scots and Irish who immigrated, the first immigrations that went inward, that went westward, and established these communities. This is amazing. The folk healing, the legends, the lore, it's all part of it. And if you're a history guy like I am, it just sucks you in. I love uh, that I'm like a chameleon. I've been able to get into like all these different little facets of the world. I love. I I was lucky to have met Warren Sky. He's the late Warren Sky. He was a traditional pine tree chief of the Seneca Nation here in Western New York, and he was one of the last of the original Seneca speakers. He learned Seneca before English. Amazing. The information that he imparted was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
To be able to go there, I'm a flint napper, so I make tools. I reproduce stone tools that they made 5,000 years ago, Neolithic tools. So I mean, this is stuff that is amazing to me. So that's why I got into it. The magical part of it, of course, yeah, I'm interested in it. But when you start breaking the magic down and you start getting into its historic roots of why and how and where this came from, and the different sects of it, it's like spiritualism. You have different denominations of it. Christianity, different denominations. Same thing with voodoo and hoodoo. Depending where these people, where your ancestors came from, this is the effect. This is the type of religion that you follow. That fascinates me, and I can't get enough of it. I just can't get enough of it. But I mean, it's all part of learning, and I always tell people, and I always end almost all of my lectures with, you've got to be able to be out there and you've got to never stop learning, and you have to look at everything as an adventure. And when the opportunity comes for you to go look a little bit deeper, take it, because that's when life is worth living.
Yeah. Paranormal girl just said voodoo is scary.
No,
A
no.
little.
Voodoo to me is just, you know what, I met and I knew the late Raymond Buckland, and you know Ray was a unique person, and he was a Renaissance man, and a lot of people are afraid of witchcraft.
Mhm.
Just a religion to me. You pray to saints. You pray. You pray to saints. You pray to the crucifix. You pray to this one. You pray to that one. It's just the same thing. You're blessed with holy water. You're you know to protect yourself to protect from choking. You're blessed, and they put the crossed candles across your neck. I mean, this is all ritual. It's all ritual, and when you break down ritual across the board, what is a ritual? A ritual is nothing more than
And
a
if you're going to a funeral in a Catholic church and they're waving the chain with the
frankincense.
incense,
Yes,
that is meant to expel evil spirits. They think
exactly.
it's such a nice thing. It's like you got to understand this. Now, before I bring George back in, as far as voodoo, before I knew better, I was in Salem around Halloween one year. We just ended up there somehow. My kid was playing a college football game, and it came down to left. Well, let's go to Salem. Not even thinking it was Halloween night, but we took a tour, and the number one tour guide was a woman named Molly Stewart. And she happened to give our tour that night. And I said, "This is great. We got the best guide there." As it turns out, Molly Stewart was a voodooist.
Hmm.
And this is what really changed my a way of thought. While everybody was oohing and eyeing at stuff, I got into a conversation with her in between stops, and we continued it because she loved to talk about it. She told me about voodooism as a religion,
Hmm.
and it just opened my eyes to what it represented in a spiritual and a physical sense. And I am grateful for the time she took,
And the cultural sense, because the
and the
Orishas
cultural sense.
are just, I mean, there's so much that's hidden in in the Catholicism that they hid in order to go and preserve their own Orishas. So I
Right.
mean, there's so much. But I mean, let's think about this. Really, Kenny, let's think about this. A ritual. So we're talking about a ritual, right? What's a ritual? A ritual is nothing more than a stylized prayer. What is a stylized prayer? A stylized prayer is a focused intent. That's all it is. And it's universal in almost every single religion known to man today. So when you start, see, the problem is it's like it's like you know, the media and all the old movies and all that old crap went and gave it this black eye.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, that's not to say that there's not good and bad, because now, if you know, I have friends uh who are within the craft, that it is a razor's edge. There's no gray area. It's either good or bad the way they work,
Yeah.
and it's all intent. So it's the same. It's just, you know, I know voodoo practitioners that would never think about doing anything negative. They do things only for the good, the highest and the best. Yet they're voodoo practitioners, but yet they're not the ones that get the press. The ones that get the press are the ones that are out there with the public doll, and they're the sticking it in, with the needle and everything.
Yeah.
A lot of it is all social. A lot of it is all media. A lot of it is actually miscommunication, and you have to be able to go and sort it all out. And there's so much crap on top of it that it's almost impossible sometimes to get to the base of it.
Well, this
But
is why we love to have people on who identify as witches. And, because we go into those things and we become a little bit more enlightened and a little educated. I also want to bring George back in here as we go to.
bring that handsome man in there,
There
George,
he is.
baby. Look,
There he
I
is.
feel like I'm George. I feel like I'm looking in the mirror.
My brother.
God. I'm going to be back to say goodbye, but, George is up. Take it away.
All right, Ken. Thank you, Ken. Boy, I'm going to dig deep here, and if you're going to have Tim Shaw on the channel, you cannot escape the inevitable of this discussion.
It's getting deep, George. It's getting deep.
You mentioned earlier that you filled out your will, and not to steal from Patrick Stewart as Captain Jean-Luc Picard, but his statement of, it comes a time when you realize there are less days ahead than there are behind.
Exactly, which I am right now. I understand that. I understand that perfectly, and I accept it.
We all are. We just,
Hmm.
and part of what, at least initially in this field, that we started to try to figure out was what happens after we die. It's the universal question. But a lot of us, and we've discussed it on the show many a time, believe that maybe we're not entitled to the answers until we go. As far as, is there a God? Do I go to heaven? Is there all that stuff is kind of man made in a sense.
I
But
agree.
I want your take on what it is based upon your experiences, because for me, that's where it becomes convoluted based upon our experiences in the field, the evidence that we've collected. You know, People will say, well, there's earthbound spirits, and then spirits who cross over but can come back. And then there are those who are in purgatory, and then there are those who are vengeful, and then there are those who are here helping those who stayed behind to grieve. We can't land on one thing.
No.
And it's either all or none of it.
Well, my basic take on that, George, is that we're all energy. Everything is energy.
Yes.
All thoughts. Again, I go back to the adage: thoughts are things, things are vibrational in nature. I'm a firm believer that uh, you are here, and when you die, you go off into whatever, but you become an energetic personality. So that's energetic personality, spirit, whatever you want to call it, can be attached or be focused upon, let's say, your relatives, your friends, that sort of thing. I'm a firm believer that when the memory is gone, let's say, yeah, I mean, what do they say? 2 generations and you're forgotten about. They don't really know who you are. I'm a firm believer that when the memory, the dear memory, the important memory of you is gone, then you go onward to become part of everything, part of the energy that surrounds us. I believe that if you're a schmuck in this life, when you die, you're going to be an energetic schmuck on the other side. And now I don't believe, George, I don't believe in heaven. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in purgatory. I don't believe in these places. As a spiritualist, I should be believing in the Summerland. I
Right.
don't believe in the Summerland
Right.
because I don't believe that. I believe that we become energetic in nature. And you know what? I mean, we're there to be of service. We're there to help if we want. If we're a little lost, I can understand where you can manifest into it and get stuck into a location, self being self stuck. If you're there to all of a sudden you appear to somebody, grandma appears at the foot of your bed. What do you think grandma's there to suck your soul out? No, you're you're there to go, and she's just there to say hi. Likewise, though, if you get something that's a little negative, I mean, I believe in that, and I believe that something a person who has been negative in life is very negative in this energetic state, and they become parasitical spirits where they suck off this energy of anger and jealousy, or an addictive personality. When you pass, that is what you know. So you're attaching yourself, like attracts like, through the natural laws. You're attaching yourself to a person who is of like mind. So I mean, a lot of that has to do with energy. And I mean, again, when I was young, well, yeah, when I was young, I was in my 30s. Okay, George, I'll say that. When I was
I
young,
hear you. I hear you.
I had in a meditation. Now, I'm not a great meditator anymore, but I was in a deep meditation, and I said, "Show me what the afterlife is." Do you know what I saw? I saw an oscilloscope. That's what I saw. From that, I took that life is energy. That I believe that consciousness is energy. I am a firm believer that it's all about energy. And, I mean, yes, I do believe in reincarnation. I believe that the energy can be reborn or whatever. But when you get at the end of your rope there, I mean, I think you just become part of everything around us. Everything that is part of our universe and all the universes out there.
This is where, and this is a good lesson, I think, for a lot of people in this field, um, that we can agree to disagree
Exactly.
on things. But again, this is
Exactly.
where the discussion comes back and forth. Case in point, as you said, we stay around kind of a couple of generations until, as we're forgotten, then we can move on from there. Then it doesn't explain the soldier, the woman in white, the child in period clothing, things like that. And again, there's a difference between a ghost and a spirit. I understand that, and Ken is a proponent of that. But what I'm saying is that I think when it comes to the energy part of it, I have a theory that I subscribe to. It's not my own theory, but I think once we leave this corporeal essence, once
Hmm.
we are just the floating energy that we're out there, I think number one, we're omnipresent. So it's not, we have to travel as a spirit from here to here. I think we're everywhere at once. We've done enough experiments, including with Cody and Satori, to discover that.
Yes, I agree there.
That it's also the other part of it too. I don't know at what level, but I do believe that at a certain level, the knowledge is also omnipresent, as if when you die, you are immediately, and this is just a metaphor, you're immediately transported to the Library of Congress, and all of that knowledge and information is right there at your fingertips. And I think that's why the spirits don't usually hold on to corporeal purpose or needs. I think that, again, why they go above and beyond, why those messages, when people get visitations, is I'm fine. Go on with your life. Don't grieve for me. I'm good. They can't tell anything more, but they're just simply going, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. I
And
agree there.
we're
100%.
past that. We're
Because
past.
most of the hauntings that I have worked with are just like that.
Yeah.
They're just like that. And to be a part of everything, yet being able to focus in on a certain person or a certain situation. Now, a lot of times, I'll be honest with you. A lot of times, like, how long or how many times I've gone to Gettysburg, right? I've investigated
Yeah.
there. I've investigated private locations in Gettysburg, ones that are not open to the public. And yes, why do we see this? Why do we see, okay, a little boy walking around in period clothing? Number one, is it interacting? So that could be residual if it doesn't interact.
Right.
But if there is some kind of interaction, why is it doing that? Why? There's a purpose. Is it afraid to go on, or does it like to be there? Or, I mean, there's a 1,001 questions with
I'm going to
that. So
throw a
that's the
theory.
tough one.
I'm
Yeah,
going
I
to
want to
throw a
hear it, brother. I
theory
want to hear
about
it.
that too.
Yeah.
During that time, it was at the height. Truly, I know we're going through somewhat of a renaissance now, but it's at the height of Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you committed suicide, I
Right.
don't want to cross over. I'm going to stay here. If you stole, if you coveted anything that was an absolute sin that was in the Bible, you held to your core.
Right.
So if you committed that prior to your death, I'm going to stay here because I do not want to face judgment.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't want to go to purgatory and I don't want to go to hell.
Yeah.
But if you
All
take
man-made conceptions, by the way.
exactly. If you take those out of the situation, what do you have? But we create our own jails, our own mental jails.
Correct.
And that is where I think I'll go out on the limb and say every negative case that I've worked has some component of that, not of whatever it is, not wanting to go on, afraid to go on, or
Amen.
I'm just mean enough not to want to go on. I like the way I am now. I like the way I feel. I like the way I think. So,
Or committing the same sin, covet.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
my house. This is my car. This is my whatever.
Oh,
Still coveting in the
but
afterlife.
also remember, and I'm George. You're old enough to remember this. If you committed suicide,
Yeah,
right? You could not be buried in religious grounds.
yeah,
You had to be put in a public place rather than a diocesan cemetery. You could not be buried there. Same thing with cremations. You could not allow your cremains to be interred in a diocesan cemetery. But we're going now, how many years ago, but within our scope of memory.
correct.
We were like you and guys like you and I were like 5 years old or whatever, but that was still the case. So people intrinsically are thinking that they are bad. They are not going to be able to be laid to rest with their families and all of that.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I mean, a lot of that is self-imposed. I believe it's all self-imposed.
Yep. And yet, at the same time, evidence, and again, everything is all judgmental. Anybody could look at it and say, well, that's just malarkey, what it is that you've experienced. But I
Exactly. I
myself,
agree. I agree 100%.
I
But here,
experienced where we've had situations where spirits attach because they miss chocolate, they miss smoking, they miss drinking,
addictive personalities.
which is
Exactly.
contradictive to being omnipresent. But is it, as you're omnipresent, you can attach part of your energy. It's like, think of it in the sense of a huge globe that energy of yours has become, and
Yes.
everybody is encircled in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Where your
Crazy.
focus is. Where's your focal point?
Yeah.
That's a big thing. The other thing, George, that I found is that when you're working a lot of different cases, the spirit energy is hungry for two-way communication. Thus, spirits can lie. Spirits will tell you something that isn't truth. That doesn't mean, just because they passed on does not mean that all of a sudden they are pure of heart. They can go and they can give you a song and dance that you sit there and you shake your head at. But a lot of times, and that's why you have to go and you have to be cagey and you have to ask the question 3 times in order to see if you can get the same answer. So you have to be able to go and work on an individual basis with a personality and understand that personality. And a lot of the problems we have is because people roll into a location, they work 4 to 6 hours at a location, they roll away and never seen again. The big thing that Zaffis always told me and taught me was that if you have a case that is questionable like that, it's up to you to do repeated visits. Keep going and keep working it. Stop with the multiple cases and work one case, and that has to be your focus. Same thing with the exorcists that I've worked with. One case, that's what you're working with. That is the main focus of your life
Yeah.
at
And
that time.
that could take years in some cases.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not a,
Exactly.
it's not a 42-minute episode.
This is the problem. This is the problem. And everybody, but see, we're brought up with beginning, middle, and ending.
Yeah.
We're taught that. We're taught that in school. How do you want to write we got to outline your essay. Beginning, middle, and ending. How are you going to do this? If you're writing a screenplay, beginning, middle, ending. You're doing
Crisis resolution.
exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it, George.
I find it, again, the field is fascinating. Have we advanced as much as you or myself or Ken would have liked to have seen by this point in time? No.
Absolutely not.
It's actually become
Absolutely not.
convoluted. But
Yes.
in any event, with the time remaining here, let me see if I can get this linked in. How'd you like the way I did that? Uh, I'm trying to find where you're at here with the events. I want to go to some of the upcoming stuff that you're doing. Mystics at the Mansion is what, 2 days away?
We did. As a matter of fact, we did all that.
Oh, it's
I
October.
just
I'm thinking November. Okay.
I just finished my very last out of state event, which was at Dundee, Michigan, at the
Old
Old
Mill.
Mill Paracon.
Old Mill, yeah.
I just finished that this last weekend, and what I have coming up is I have a couple private events, and I am looking at a book signing at Magical Encounters at in Tonawanda, New York, on December 6th. And there's going to be a few authors that are going to be there. And my next thing after that will be in February at the KC at the Missouri in KC, Michigan or Missouri, it's a Missouri Paracon in February. So that'll be my next one, and then I'll be at Mansfield and in Palmyra, New York, and a couple other places next year. But I'm just hanging out, George. I'm just like trying to be as beautiful as you. That's all there is to it. I'm just trying so hard, and I take a picture of you when I go to the barber and say, this is the haircut I want.
The emulation is just flattering as can be. I appreciate that. Mr. DaCosta, if you want to come join us back on here, where it's just a love fest.
I also, before we get out of here tonight, if you want to hear more of Tim, you find him on the Black Cat Lounge.
That's this week.
And that is the next show will be Tuesday night, where they welcome C.L. Thomas. So, Black Cat Lounge.
I was thinking C.L. What was the other one? He was an actor back in the 80s.
B.J. Thomas?
B.J. Thomas. I thought
oh, my God. We'd be singing Raindrops Keep Falling on Our Heads. That's what
always.
That was.
Yeah.
A little bit of a throwback on there.
And you can find Black Cat Lounge there on Paraflix.
And you can go on my website at www.timothytshaw.com. And I have encore shows, and some of my events are up there, and all sorts of other.
Can't get enough,
stuff.
Tim. You can't get enough. Admit it. Admit it, people.
Believe me, you'll get more than enough of me.
Here's the problem with it, though. I've got half a sheet of unanswered questions. So we're going to have you back again, because it's always a great conversation with you, Tim.
You know what I love about you guys is the fact that it's not when we all, the three of us talk, it's not a who made you, X made you, that type of thing. Oh, what kind of gear do you like? It's not that. We're able to go into some esoteric stuff. We're able to get into some mind-blowing stuff. We're able to get into theories. There's so much out there. And that's what the paranormal should be about, is theories and thinking and going and enjoying what we're doing, but yet learning. There's so many people out there that I learned from. I learned from you guys. I learned from Cody and Satori. I learned from my old mentors. I absolutely love everybody that's out there. But if you keep working and you keep doing it, life is going to be an adventure, and you just keep going on with it. And that's what I love. So today was like, I was thrilled when you guys sent me an invitation for the show. I was like, yes, let's try to get something going here. This is fantastic.
Yeah, until the restraining order comes, Tim. And
that wouldn't be listen. This ain't my first rodeo, baby.
Those pains in the ass are back again.
No. I love you guys.
Well, Tim, it has been like an absolute pleasure once again to talk to you. Hopefully we do it for next October, but we're going to have a hell of a time.
Hey, listen, you got more important people to go and talk to than me, just go and find them people, baby. Just keep finding them.
Yeah.
Look on the bottom there. Streamed 1 year ago. It's an anniversary.
Oh my God, that's scary.
Wow.
All right.
It's like an anniversary haunting.
All right, well, that does it for our show tonight. Tim, don't hang up. Stay with us for a second. Tomorrow night, Town Hall, 8 p.m. for our Patreon members. Want to become a Patreon member? Simply go to patreon.com/Dead Air Paranormal, and we do a live Town Hall each and every Monday night. And one of these times we'll get Tim in there, give us a break. So since he's got some downtime upcoming, we may just do that just to torture you guys. But until we see you next week, please have a good rest of your week, and we will talk to you soon. Until then, you've been watching Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. Have a great night.
Night, y'all.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me. Turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease. Bitten lips, bruised